Um, so welcome everyone, and you are here for our problem solving group. And today we're going to really dive into specific problems and challenges. And our good friend Yehud was good enough to give us several that we can talk about. And I think that are very applicable, whether it's as a clinician or whether it's as a teacher. I know there are definitely challenges I have. So welcome to those of you who came in as she was speaking. It's good to have you here. Um, Susanna, how would you like to go? Do you want to open the floor to other things and then dive into those, or what do you think would be best?
I don't know. Maybe we can collect some more problems and
Sure.
then comment.
Yeah. Does anyone, I like it. Does anyone have any other comments or problems that they brought for us to discuss today? Maybe some of them overlap with those that were already mentioned, or maybe you have unique ones. Oh, Verna usually has something for us.
Hi, good morning. It's your morning.
Hi.
I was here, so I agree with what you had said about the internet and sometimes the difficulty on making the participants engage, but also some of the challenges that I face in my my undergrad students. So in this particular university, they have very unique setup. It's an 11-week. So instead of semester, they have a quarterly. So each quarter is made up of 11 weeks. And so a 3-unit subject is divided into 3 modules. And there are fixed requirements. So a student is supposed to produce about 5 to 7 output per module. So in the span of 11 weeks, they have to produce about 21 outputs. So it's hard for the teacher who's doing the checking the papers, but I also feel that it's also not not a good way of measuring learning, because that's for every subject. So if they have a 15-unit class, so in the span of 11 weeks, the 21 outputs they have, multiply that by 5. I feel that it's too overwhelming, and I don't know, but there's really challenging situation in the Philippines wherein sometimes we don't get we don't use the most effective assessment, and we feel that more is better. But
Right.
I'm glad I'm not a student, but and it's make it more so difficult because we cannot. We cannot actually check their progress, because I don't know them. I mean, technically all the SEM is in online, so I don't even have a personal relationship with these students.
Right.
So that's kind of so we do talk, and I mean, I have to break my rule. I don't want students in my Facebook or in my messenger, because my messenger is really personal, no work related or anything. But I have to find ways to communicate with them. So but it's more of a system issue, and I really don't know how to approach it.
Wow. Now, do you get to decide what the output, what these different things they have to turn in? Like, do you get to pick what those are?
No, it's a standard for every subject.
Wow.
And then we use Blackboard, so it's already preloaded. So even for the grading system, so the percentage is there. But sometimes what I did last term is for particular classes that I try to engage them. I give them let's say a metacognitive reading report that's bonus, so they don't have to actually answer the question. I just encourage them to read, and then I'll just give them 3 points, especially for the third module, because the third module is only 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's so yeah. So I mean, I wish that I could choose or select and just give a higher percentage to certain activities, but no, it's
Wow.
not that that way.
Okay.
It's a STEM school, so I'm not sure if that is a factor.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anyone else have any problems they want to lay on our list of problems?
Sorry, may I ask a question?
No.
Okay, you already, I'm unmuted. No, you remember, Susanna, I was trying to I was trying to access Triader, but it seems that it's associated with Moodle. I can't get in. You know, the last discussion that we had for
Sorry, can
the discussion that we had with regards to other external what do you call this, like learning management system sort of things. So the one where I'm not sure if I get that correctly. You know, the Triader, the one that where you're supposed to do like group discussions, like a Google
yes,
Jamboard.
yes,
So I was
yes,
trying
the
to find it.
three-sider.
Yeah. So I was trying to access it and find it, but it seems that it's associated with Moodle. So what comes out in the internet are university account. So yeah. So is that the yeah, I actually mentioned that to Kari when we met. So it's
Yes,
like
and I forgot
it's
completely. Thank
spelled
you.
like TRIACIDER, right?
TRIC. Sorry.
Cider vinegar. Is it
Just
spelled like this? Try cider.
I will write it here. Yes, like that.
So do you
Cider.
understand the concern that Verna's having, Susanna, that it seems like it only is through Moodle, which usually, you know, people have to have universities, so that shouldn't be the case?
No, no.
Okay.
This is a completely independent tool.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
let me I'll try that again because I wanted to use that for brainstorming. I think that's a good
Yeah.
platform.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So maybe I might have made, oh, thank you. So I'll look for that, but I don't know, when I was searching, I was thinking that maybe sometimes the platform has regional access. So, but I look for here in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, if you continue to have problems, Verna, and I apologize because I forgot to look into it,
No.
just email us, or if you don't have Susanna's email, email me, and we'll make sure to help you, you know, problem solve
Yes.
it, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I
Thank you.
don't think it has any kind of regional limits because it's .com, so
Right.
it's not expectable.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay.
And welcome, Dr. Francis. We're asking for any problems you want to list. Basically, we have a nice big problem bucket, and everyone can just throw any online learning problems they have in it, and we can talk about them today. So, did anybody else have anything to add to our problem list before we jump in? All right. Well, if I might, I just had a thought about the piece about people not having technological knowledge. And I'm by no means a tech expert, but I bring it back to my clinical work, and I think that will really make work with you. And so my thought is that anytime that we have to do something new with our clients, with our students, with whoever, that we have an opportunity to teach and model. So, and also a lot of it has to do with how we present it. So if, Yehud, if I'm like, okay, we did this with our mentorship course, right? This is new. It's new to me. It's new to you. We put ourselves on the same level, right? And, talking them through, depending on, funding and, I don't know how you can do this, but, can you have a couple sessions that are like, this is how you do it. And this is, because you're teaching them a skill that maybe a lot of them don't have. Getting comfortable with the internet, getting comfortable with the computer. Maybe then you take that and even make that into writing a resume or, journaling or blogging or creative things that they can do that maybe they haven't done before. So how do we make it instead just like something we have to check off our box? Like, well, now we're doing it online and it's not great, but let's do it, into something that is a enhancement, right? Like a value added kind of thing. So that was my first thought when you talked about, them having a lack of technical knowledge, which is certainly understandable. like I see them doing that with my, obviously the kids tend to have tech knowledge, but they're enhancing what they know how to do online with this e-learning to try to make it a more positive. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's just one thing that I thought of when you brought that up.
Mhm.
Yes, that is very important. The way how we present them with the things they are expected to do, and with the things they should expect from us and from the technological environment. In the Portuguese Open University, we work in, with some different module because we work asynchronously. But, and in the beginning of each course, yes, we have a module which the main goal is that to make to make them familiar and more comfortable with the technological environment, with the virtual classroom, with the way they are going. We are expecting they work from that point through the course development. So
And if your class is not, if your course, I can't remember, do your students, I mean, do your clients come in, or is it a closed group?
It's a closed group, but we have also some classes, some courses, they are always open so they can come in. And
Because I was thinking with your clients, who is it like, is it one group or like people come and go?
both. We have both situations. We have some classes for closed groups, and we have some other classes. They are always open, so people can come in and just see what is happening and do what they want. But in both cases, they must assist this introduction module to get familiar with the virtual classroom, and they get familiar what is a forum, and with some aspects related with net etiquette that you are talking, and how they are supposed to behave when they write in a forum, when they are discussing an issue with their colleagues. Also the issues related with copyright and all that kind of issues that are very, very important. And we work with all these contents with them in this first module.
So I'm wondering with your clinical groups, Yehud, Julie, are they, do new clients come in?
Are you asking to me?
Yes.
Yes, new clients coming, and also I am conducting a training, universal treatment curriculum training too. I have concern with that. My client, I have face-to-face and online, but the most challenging is with the training for UTC.
Okay.
So one of the things that they was concerned, because I am a clinical, they say, they verbalize that they feel disconnected from the instructor because more of the work is asynchronously. So they are they don't have that constant interaction with the instructor or with the therapist. And another thing that I am observing is the mental health issues. I feel that more quiet, more depressed, like they need interaction, this contact. So the isolation, that is my concern also from the clinical part, the isolation of the participants.
Yeah, I would agree that, part of what we brought as a problem to talk about today has to do with engagement and motivation. And you're right. I mean, actually, before everyone else got on, I was saying to Susanna, with my children being in e-learning, I worry about their mental health. You know, it's easier to say, it's it's easy to calculate this many people get COVID if they are in the schools, right? We understand that. Absolutely. That's why my kids aren't in school. But to look at what's happening with their mental health, what's happening with their social skills, what's happening with their engagement. My youngest used to love learning and now is just checking the boxes. You can just tell it's just like this assignment's in, this assignment's in, you know. And I mean, I've seen a lot about suicide rates and, you know, all these different things. So I agree, it's a really big problem. How do we really truly engage students, clients, you know, anyone really? And I mean, I have some ideas, but I'm certainly not an expert. Susanna has probably more than me, and maybe some of you have ideas that have worked.
Yes.
My feeling is I just have observed a strong but very strong sense of isolation with the students. And I am concerned because depression is just a step for suicide. So I am asking suicidal ideation or something. The mental health in online teaching is an element that we have to pay attention.
Yep. And I do, like you were saying, I really do encourage people to put on their camera when they're in my class. I mean, I'm able to do that. It's a little bit easier for me because I'm in the States and most of them have okay Wi-Fi. Sometimes they'll say my camera isn't working or things like that. But I think, you know, having them on camera has its own challenges. I've talked about having my one of my guy students be shirtless and, you know, having some of the times they have inappropriate things on their wall or whatever, but you can see how are they doing? And, you know, you can check in with them afterwards if they weren't really engaged or, you know, it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Yes. I think there are several problems here. The first one is the age or the kind of student we are talking about, or patient. If we are talking about children, there are particular issues because this is not the best way for them to be isolated and learning through technology. It's emergency situation, and let's hope it's quickly okay, being okay. And another issue is the kind of student, the kind of people we are interacting with as a student. In our case, our students are adults, and they choose the online learning because they have busy lives. They have their jobs and they have their families. And it's true that in this time with this pandemic situation, they are also facing difficulties and these issues that all of us are aware and facing also, because some of them are more isolated, some of them lost their jobs, some of them lost some of their family because of the COVID and all these issues. But choose to study online. It's different. It's different from the main students that choose a face-to-face course program. And then due to this situation, they are forced to study through technology, through an online program. So how to engage, how to motivate, how to interact. There are no one recipe, one way that is that fits all, but there are some things that we can pay attention and improve. For instance, we as a teacher must be present and planning all the activities. As I mentioned, as Carrie was mentioned before, it's important that our students know what to expect, what it is expected from them, and what to expect from us, from the teacher. What to expect in terms of the activities, but also in terms of assessment. And I agree, Veronica was talking about all that overwhelming of work. Yes, it's. I can agree. It's maybe too much for them, and especially in this situation. So maybe it would be better to reconsider and to think in different ways that allow to diversify all this volume of work. For instance, they can do assessment by a peer assessment, for instance, and it is a way of engagement each other in one activity, because and they are also more responsible for their work and for the work that is being produced in the classroom. The other issue that you mentioned also was which is important, is the importance of the relationship between professor and the students, and between students also. And these relationships are important to be built during the classroom, but also, if possible, in other ways of communication that can be open. And Veronica was talking about their personal messenger. You can also create another account of messenger just for your students. For instance, you still have your personal account, and then you create another one that could be associated to your classroom and to your students, and where you can interact in a more informal way. By the way, this message that we received from Nancy, that Carrie was mentioning, they talk about this. She is talking about this issue. She felt the need to create, I'm just looking for the information to tell you exactly, but she created some other ways of communication and moments of communication with the students, where they can interact and communicate in a more relaxed way, not only with about the classes and the contents issues. And another issue that is important is to balance, for instance, balance synchronous moment with a synchronous moment. Synchronous moments where we can interact in a more directly way with our students, and some synchronous moments where they can, for instance, work collaboratively in documented text, something that can elaborate in a team, as a team group, problem solving, for instance. You know it better. And if motivation is a more immediate issue, engagement is more permanent, and it is more important for knowledge building. So we must engage our students in their own knowledge process and in their own learning process. And it is also important that we have clearly in our minds as professors what we will want with that activity. What is the skill? What is the learning output? What is the learning goal that we want to achieve with that activity? And if this is clear for us and for our students, it is also important in this knowledge process and in this engagement process also. I don't know if I was clear. If you have another issue, let me just read. Beatrice says that.
That she has problems with the video camera.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Susanna, just a comment. Even though a student feel overwhelming, with the instruction, the instructor too. In my case, I feel overwhelmed because I spend more time preparing an online class section than face-to-face session, and we feel overwhelmed. It's more time consuming.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I don't know. Really, I don't know if it's more difficult or more demanding. But notice that we are in an adjustment process. So the effort required is higher, is stronger. So we must. Yes,
Absolutely.
we must do more effort because it's something that we are not used to. So we must do more effort, and also our students, of course.
Yes.
So we must balance here. And that's why I think the most important is for us to have a clear idea of what we want to achieve with that e-activity or with that content. What is the main skill, the main competence that I want to achieve here? And then I can work differently. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's not possible to use the same materials, the same resources, the same texts, or the same presentations, and ask the same activities and use the same assessment model that I used to apply when I was in presence classrooms. Maybe I have to make some adjustments, but these adjustments are related with what I want to achieve with this. And if I know what I want to achieve, it's easier for me to know the way to get there.
Yes.
And maybe it is a different way because we are working in a different environment. And maybe sometimes some of this stress that Nancy also referred and Julie also referred, that this stress and this overwhelming of work for students and for professors, maybe in part it is the result of we are doing exactly the same thing that we do in presence, but through Zoom, through a technology mediation. And maybe we must do some adaptations, some adjustments, some things differently.
I think that's a really great point. Yeah, I think for myself, I think I need to assess that. So Part of why I was asking Julie about your groups, if they were closed or open, is because, you can't be teaching the technology every class, right? Or every group.
Yes.
So you may have like senior people that maybe can help newer people as they come in.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, new people.
yeah. Because I know when I would have new people come into group, we'd have the people who'd been there a little while do some, education for them on just kind of etiquette or different things. It wasn't tech stuff at the time, but it might have just been like knowing where to get food or where the bathrooms were or what, the group schedule or whatever.
Yes.
So, there is something, don't feel like it's all you, I guess is my point. I feel like you need to.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's important. It's just so much. You're learning new technologies. You're, having to, do additional things too. So it's okay to have a senior person, have a senior, client or in your class, somebody who you can say, hey, can you help me with this? And that's okay. That doesn't mean that's nothing. It doesn't speak ill of you,
Yes. Yes. And some of my clients, they are illiterate.
Yep.
They don't know how to read or how to write.
Right.
So it's more complicated. So we had to ask him or her to ask for help to somebody at home.
Yeah.
So that is an issue because they had to complete this before the start section because the confidentiality, no issues, other person can be there.
Right. You do have to be careful with that, but
Yes, we have to be very careful.
But if they're comfortable, I think that's a big part of it. If they're willing and comfortable to let other people help them. We used to have large writing that you had, a lot of writing you had to do in one of my treatment centers.
Release of information.
Yeah, and and even like packets or modules to get them to the next phase, and they would have their peers help them if they weren't comfortable with writing, or if English wasn't their first language and things like that.
Yes, that is the hand doing, asking in advance, left assignment, and ask them to ask somebody at home to help me before the section.
Yeah. So, Dr. Francis, did you have a question? I saw your hand was up.
Yes. Is among this after the lesson online. Can you hear me?
We're breaking up quite a bit.
How do you get students? How do you get?
It's very, he can write the question.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the question.
Maybe if you write the question, it's better.
I'm asking, when online classes,
to work together?
Okay. How can he ask other students?
Okay. In my case, they work among themselves in the Moodle platform. They have specific spaces, Moodle or Wiki or other platform or other tools where they are working together because our model is mainly asynchronous. If they choose to work in a different tool, different than Moodle, for instance, they are allowed, but they have to give professor the access to their workspace because we must see and go along what they are doing within that group. if you are working with synchronous tools, it's a little bit more difficult. But for instance, Zoom allows to create breakout rooms and also WebEx also, and professor can also circulate among the groups just to go along with what they are doing, and if they are facing some difficulties or having some issues. But honestly, I don't have that experience because our model is asynchronous. So my experience is for them working in Moodle, in forums, or with other tools, like, for instance, the ones we talked in the previous session. I don't know if I answered.
So Beatrice is sharing that in addition to, hold on. Actually, in addition to logging into the learning management system and synchronous communication, I've also found myself having to complement the same with email as well as a WhatsApp group to ensure none is left behind by use of only one of the methods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a good point because even at the university that I'm working at, even though we're doing some in person, they do seem to, sometimes they're in person, sometimes they're on Zoom, and they do seem to miss some things. So I do announcements on our learning management system, and I still get email with the same questions. So yeah, probably over communication, or what we might normally think is over communication, is probably best.
Yes. Sometimes we need to reinforce the important messages. So sometimes it's true, sometimes some important messages are on Moodle, but even so they are on email and in several tools also. It's important. Let me just go a little bit behind, because Carrie was talking that sometimes we must ask for some help, and some help with someone who has more experience and can help us. It is a good tip also for our students. Even in our class, we have some students that are more comfortable with the technology or with that kind of that particular content that we are working with their author or with that issue, I don't know. And we can work with some kind of mentoring. We can also put some students that are more comfortable working with other ones that are facing some more difficulties, and this can also help to balance and develop the group of our students. So it is important also for us and for our students to develop in a collaborative way with in this kind of community of learning.
And I always think that I don't know, I've gotten to a point where I think it's really relationship building with students, whether you're asynchronous or not, to be able to be like, do any of you know better than I do in this? Or I've asked for help with this, or, everything we're doing, for whether a clinician or a student, you're modeling, right? You're showing. So if you're showing them, I don't really know how to do that, I'll look that up, or I'll find out, or do any of you know? It's not, to me, some people are uncomfortable doing that, but to me, that's a sign of strength. And you're modeling, if someone asks something, or if we don't know how to do something, or it's not working well, like, oh, let's see what we can do, and maybe we can make that better. And do you guys have ideas? I think that's a real strength as a leader.
And it's also empowering for our students.
Yes. Yeah. I've had students, even smallest things like my tech isn't working in my classroom. And I'm like, do any of you guys know what you're doing? And they come up and plug something in. And then they're like, ooh,
Yeah, that's true.
So Beatrice says, I must also admit I have felt overwhelmed just getting comfortable using the learning management system. So I've learned to constantly ask for assistance from our university support team. Exactly. And I think that sharing that with your students to the extent that you're comfortable doing so is really good because you're showing them that you're in this together and that, if they have questions or if they're anxious or stressed about it, we're going to figure this out. So I'm glad to hear, Beatrice, that you're asking and that you have people to support you with that because so much of this is new for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Even in our case, I was thinking in a situation where our students in a post-graduation course, they were facing difficulties in searching for information, scientific information, and that's the selection of that information. So we schedule a session with our documentation services, which is our support team for these issues, and the team that managed the open repositorium in our university. And they are doing a session with our students in order to explain to them how they can access information, scientific information, how to access, for example, to Beyond and other online libraries, and how to make the correct references according to the APA norms and that kind of issues. So we can get support from several areas that we need or that we feel that our students need.
And so maybe we can circle back a little bit about this idea of etiquette online. I think that that's a challenge that a lot of people are facing, like that netiquette. How do we communicate that? How do we sort of enforce it, for lack of a better term? What are some of the challenges and some of the positives? I want to see what Beatrice said first because I don't want to change subject yet. So she said, true. I also openly verbalize my challenges to the class, and hence they feel we're in it together, and that normalizes their own struggles and makes them patient with me when I get delays in sharing a document. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, so I don't know, Yuli, if you want to talk more about what you were referring to with the etiquette online. You're muted at this point.
Your question, Karen, I want to add something.
So you brought up etiquette, right? Like how is that you brought that up earlier about how we should be behaving in online courses and groups, right?
Yeah, I was talking with you earlier about the camera, the participation, the passive student, that the student pass from actively to be an observer. So more basically the motivation.
Okay.
Is
Okay, so more
etiquette.
in regards to motivation. Okay. Yeah, I think it's really easy for people to disengage.
Yes,
Do
very
other things.
easily. Yeah, from actively participant, they pass to an observer, quiet observer participant.
Yeah, anybody have any thoughts on that? I know we talked a little bit about like activities and maybe some of that could be engaging, but other thoughts? That's definitely my biggest challenge too. I do like you, I call on them directly a lot.
Yes.
So intermittent reinforcement, they want to be ready, you know, they're like I can tell when they're not really with us, then I'll say, "Oh, what do you think, Chris?" or you know, whatever, and they're like, "Oh,
I would like to distinguish two issues here. One is the etiquette that you mentioned about turning the camera, be on time, and that kind of things, which are related with something that was early mentioned about the digital literacy, because there are ways to behave and to be as a citizen in the digital environment. So you can, for example, list it, that kind of rules. You can also build that list, that rules with them within the group, and then you have that rules established within the group, and you build this etiquette to be within that group, and then you can share it with other groups and go from there.
That's a good idea.
The other issue is the issue related with engagement and motivation and participation and the attention they are paying in classrooms. That is complex because, again, it is related with what I am expecting from them, from my students, and what in what extent they know what is being expected from them. In the Portuguese Open University, at the beginning of each class, they have a document which is called a learning contract. In this learning contract, and it is a contract because it can be, in the beginning, it can be adjusted. It is discussed and it can be adjusted, and it must be agreed by all the students and by the professor. That's why it is a contract. And it is a learning contract because in this document, it is clarified everything that is going to happen along the semester. The contents that is going to be a part of that class. The resources, the texts, the videos, the books that they must work on, all the activities that they must participate, and when. They have also a schedule, a timeline for each activity, what it is expected. In this first week, you must read this text. In this second week, you must discuss with your colleagues. In the third week, you must do a synthesis document about the discussion, or a conceptual map, or whatever, but with schedule. And for each one of these activities, we also clarify what are the assessment criteria. So they know from the beginning, if they don't actively participate in the discussion, they won't, they are not providing elements for the evaluation. So they know that they are going to expect not to have evaluation on that activity. And they know exactly what is expected from them. It's this. And they know that in some moments they must be more collaborative, in other moments they must work more individually and be more reflexive, and And this is strictly related with the evaluation, with the assessment for each one of the activities. And I think this helps. I still have some students that for some reason change their behavior. For some reasons they give up at the limit, but they know from the beginning what are the rules and what is expected from them. I think it helps. It's more
very
clear
good.
for all of us.
Yeah. Thank you, Susanna. That's great input and great feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
I would like to make a contribution.
Yes, please do,
Hello?
Peter. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
I want to give an kind of experience that we encounter here in our own part of the world. When you give these students some work to do online, it's not exactly the time you ask them to turn up those assignments. Some of them, instead of going straight to like incoming things coming in, whereby they start looking at other things, whereby they are not really concentrating on that assignment given to you. So how do you really help this kind of students, if you don't mind? Maybe some suggestions. Do you get what I'm saying? Did you get me at all?
I feel like we got part of it. Suzanne, same for you?
I couldn't understand because I lost parts.
Okay.
Okay, can I say it again? What I'm trying to say in essence is that when you have some students, you give them some work to do online, but instead of concentrating on that job to do it and turn in the assignment at the right time they're supposed to submit those assignments, you find out that they are doing most other things with their time instead of concentrating. So how do you checkmate all those kind of students? Because you made mention about evaluation, that if they're not participating well in the discussion or whatever, it's going to affect their evaluation. So when you find some students doing extra things or other things apart from what you have given them, how do you evaluate them? Is there any punishment? Is there anything that they're not concentrating?
So that they're distracted, they're focused on other things when they're supposed to be paying attention or participating?
Exactly.
Okay.
If I have, it depends on the criteria that I have. If one of the evaluation criteria is the participation and the engagement with the team in the work they are doing, if someone in that team is not working as much as the others, at the end the assessment is different. Because one thing is the evaluation of the learning product, of the team output, the final work. And another different thing is the evaluation of each element of the team. And during the teamwork, and that's why the professor is into the group, into the team, I usually give some feedback and some comments that is supposed to help and help to go along with the teamwork. So if I see that someone is not working, usually if it's not working at all, usually I send him or her a private message. What is happening? I'm worrying that you're not working with your team. Is something going on? Can I help you? Is there some difficulty that I can help with? and usually they answer. Sometimes they don't answer, but they go to the team and, and start to work. So it is important to do this continuous work with the teams, and not only at the end to say, oh, you have a good evaluation, or you don't have evaluation because you don't did anything. It is important for us to have this formative, this constructive and helpful attitude with our students in order to help them to develop their learning process.
Thank you so much. You really answered my question. Thank you so much.
Right.
Well, we're at the hour, so I want to ask everyone, would you like to continue this conversation? Because Susanna and I were talking about whether we were kind of done with this process or if we were going to meet again. But it seems like we're having a really robust conversation, and perhaps we have more to discuss. So what does everyone think? Do we want to have a final session to discuss this a little more? Silence.
Silence.
Thinking.
I think that we can have another one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so if we have kind of a wrap-up session with everything, do we want to have it this month, or are people going to be too busy in December?
Maybe next month. We are too busy.
Okay, that's fine with me. What do you think? Is that okay with you, Susanna?
Yes. The beginning of January.
This month.
Well, someone said this month.
Yeah, it's okay. Maybe at the end of the month.
In the month.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will. I see mid-January for some people prefer. Okay. Well, I will send out a link, and hopefully, and we'll do a very similar type thing for people who either have additional questions or want to continue this conversation, or other people who maybe didn't join us today who might want to add, because I think it's a good discussion and I think we probably could keep going. So
Yes. Yes.
thank you all so much for your time and your attention and bringing such good ideas and putting problems in my problem basket. And I'll bring it next time and we can put more. So hopefully you are leaving with some ideas and some more hopefulness than you came with. And I appreciate you all. Have a good week.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, cheers.